afternoon, Blue Wave and allies. When I entered the church, all I could think about was Al Gore versus George Bush, and when Blue Wave and its allies committed to fighting back. Because that is when this movement began, spawned right here in Montclair. Like many of you, on the night of November 8th, I wanted to simply crawl up in a fetal position and do what Hillary Clinton said the other night when she had to go deliver her speech at Children's Defense Fund. I wanted to just curl up, stay in the house, read a good book, and never have any interaction with anyone anymore. That was the night of November 8th. But as I began to see the foul mood that is permeating America, and I knew that foul mood was permeating America for quite some time. As each hour went by, I gathered myself up, collected my resolve, began to talk with other people who know what the United States of America is about. And, Carrie, I committed to fighting back. Began to evolve, we saw children crying in the street, worried that their parents would be deported. We heard people concerned, is my Social Security going to be taken away? Am I going to begin to have to worry about no longer having health care? Am I going to have to worry about the interests of corporate America becoming bigger than the interests of the people of America? And yes, those millennials who took to the street and told us very candidly that they had not bothered to vote. I had a young man come to my office. He graduated from Notre Dame, football player. He grew up in East Orange, New Jersey. He needed some forms filled out, and his father brought him to my office. He had just been drafted by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and had signed a very lucrative contract to play in the NFL. He's 22 years old. In filling the papers out, I asked him, what do you think of this election? This was prior to November 8th. And he told me, well, I supported Bernie Sanders, but now it's just Hillary versus Trump. And I think I'm going to vote for Donald Trump. I told him, have a seat, young man. You are not leaving this office. Your father is here to bear witness, and I am going to educate you on a few things. That encounter I had with that young man reinforced something that I've known for many, many, many years. We focus a lot on voter registration. We do not focus enough on voter education. And what he told me that day was many of his friends had been affected by the laws that were enacted during the Clinton administration with mandatory minimums. And I guess as a 21, 22, 23-year-old man, he probably had peers who had been affected. But I tried to explain to him that you have to work inside of the process in order to influence outcomes in the process. You know, I loved listening to Phil Murphy talk about his vision of New Jersey. I share that vision. You know, I've been in the State House since 2004, and I often say I know where all the skeletons and dead bodies are. And I will tell you, we've got a lot of work to do in taking New Jersey back. And one thing that might not be popular for me to say, as a lifelong Democrat, we have to begin to have serious conversations with those that I call complicitous Democrats. Either you're Democratic and progressive or you are not. You can't go behind closed doors and broker deals that aren't in the best interest of the people that send us to the State House to represent their interests. Yeah. And I think many of us have learned quite a thing or two during the reign of King Christie. As we sit here in the Congregational Church, he's over in Bedminster having a meeting with Donald Trump to see what he can broker for himself. You'd better believe if he continues to serve as our governor for the next several months, there is no decision or policy or appointment he will make that will be in the best interest of the people of New Jersey. They will be decisions that are best for Christopher J. Christie. But I'm going to take a cue from Carrie and tell you what we have to do. We have to stand up, we have to speak up, we have to show up. That's what we have to do. Yesterday, I was I felt very fulfilled by a letter that Professor Paula Francis Esquire, she is the professor of law at Seton Hall University. Paula is renowned for the work that she has done in ethics in government. She chaired several commissions in Trenton through the years that dealt with the issues of ethics in government. And she wrote a letter to her students, which the Star Ledger published yesterday, which told the students, don't be discouraged, don't give up, keep pressing on. You have an obligation as a citizen to fulfill your role as citizens. We are in the place that we are at because too many of our citizens do not implement and execute their citizenship. We know that 47 million people in the United States who could have voted did not vote. 47 million. Right here in our own backyard in Essex County, generally, we're doing good if we get 25% of the registered voters out to vote. It is our job, those of us who are activists and advocates and elected officials, to go out in communities at a grassroots level and try to listen with discernment to what disengaged citizens are telling us. That is our obligation. One thing I have learned being in government, I've learned often elected officials become very insulated from the real world because all they talk to sometimes are people who are in that bubble with them. We should have a requirement like Covenant House has, that you go sleep on the sidewalk to demonstrate what homeless people and homeless children are dealing with. Go take a week and live in a low-income housing project in this state. Go and follow in the steps of a single mother doing the best she can to keep a roof over the head of her family. In a state that has ignored a Supreme Court ruling that dictates there should be affordable housing created in every community in this state. For those that want to target our public education students, particularly students in disadvantaged communities. Go walk a day in the shoes of a teacher in a challenged school district. Yes, that's worthy of applause. Let teachers explain to you how they buy food and clothing and underwear and often contribute to the rent of a family. These are the things that are affecting the real lives of people. Not who's gonna underwrite $1.2 billion in bonds for the monstrosity on Route 3 that they call Xanadu. That's not a priority of the citizens of this state. It is not. And besides that, Scott Walker in Wisconsin is going to get the opportunity to sell the bonds, and his state will make a profit off the backs of the taxpayers of New Jersey. I often tell constituents, yes, there is a government in your town, a government in your county, a government in your state, and in New Jersey, we have to also begin to pay attention to quasi-governmental agencies. The New Jersey Turnpike Authority, the Garden State Parkway. We have a New Jersey Sports and Exposition Authority. We've got a little secret group called the New Jersey State Investment Council. We've got all kinds of quasi-governmental groups, not elected by the people, but get to be appointed by a governor or legislative leadership. They clean our clocks more often than the legislators serving in either the Senate or the Assembly. So we've got to speak up, we've got to stand up, we've got to stand for something. You've heard it over and over. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Let's stand up. I know you're going to stand up by your presence here. Let's organize, let's mobilize, let our voices not be drowned out by the madness we're going to hear from Washington. We are the people. Constitution tells us this is a government by the people, for the people, of the people. Let us exercise our citizenship and take our government back.